taking the stage. Nasser will be delivering the closing remarks for this eventful World AI show, the 2-day show that we had. Nasser, please take the stage.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's an opportunity to give a little bit of an overview on the journey of oil and gas business in terms of, innovative journey to convert bytes into barrels. But I think before I start into the jargons of oil and gas business, I would like to give a little bit of an overview of myself. My dad used to be a trader many years ago from Oman, Bahrain, India, and also East Africa. And in my family, we are 15 of us, so brothers and sisters. And we had only, a 4-bedroom house, which is it used to be as big as it is. And one of the things where we used to do is we didn't have electricity, so we had a generator where on and off. Sometimes it's switched on for a few hours when it's needed, and so on. And in doing so, one of the areas where we followed it up, there were protocols in the house. So we used to eat on time. So if we say lunchtime, 12 o'clock, everybody will be there on time. Breakfast, all of us, we eat together. Dinner, and the most important is the door used to be closed at 7 o'clock in the evening. Everybody's inside, and we sleep at 8 o'clock at night. Now, looking into that area, having 4 bedrooms, and all of us, 15, we were accommodated in that 4 bedrooms. Now, I said, let me try to mimic my dad. I will build a 4-bedroom house. So I built a 4-bedroom house. And when we build a 4-bedroom house, is my wife, who is not here now, I can talk much as much as the way I can say it is. With my kids, they were pushing it harder and said, no, we need additional rooms. We need additional rooms. So what I've done is I added additional rooms, and now my house, which has got 4 sitting rooms and 6 bedrooms, and the most is broadband and high Wi-Fi is everywhere in the house. And what is happening in that area? Some of you already have sensed where I'm going it. My family is digital transformed, but I'm losing the family values. I don't see my kids now. The house maybe is too big. Whether do we need to have 6-bedroom house, I don't believe it. But sometimes that's the reality where you need to move on. And today, all my kids, they're in their own rooms. They've got all the facilities they wanted. The Wi-Fi, high broadband, and so on. Even at the time of eating, I don't see them. And sometimes we cook the food, and you realize after cooking the food, we go, my wife and I, to eat it, and I say, no, we don't want the food. And how you came to know? They've ordered some food somewhere else using my credit card. So you can see, digital transformed. So this digital transformed, the more of the story is, let's bring these digital transforms, the human element on it. Let's have the human values on it. Let's have the culture, maintain it, and the way we do it. So these are the things where we see it. Technology is moving on. And if we do not embrace technology with our culture, then we start losing our values. And when you start losing your values, you start realizing it, everybody is moving in a different direction. Another one, which is a good one. So this is, the moral story of this is, can I go back and switch off the Wi-Fi? There's no choice. I cannot do it. And I'm telling you, when the Wi-Fi goes off in my house, there's a mini earthquake in the house. Everybody will be jumping back and forth and what. And in my days, we didn't have electricity, and we were still fine in doing it. So these things becomes obligation. It's not a choice anymore. I cannot go backward. Simple one. Recently, this happened. I bought Tesla Model 3. It's the first in Oman, and we were waiting for it. And when I had autopilot, I was celebrating it, and I said, it's good, because my mom, she's 75 years old, and most of the time, she wants us to take us to the hospital or somewhere else, and I have to leave my job, take my mom. It's my obligation, and I have to do everything for my mom. At the end of the day, I was talking to my mom. I said, Mom, I bought Tesla. And you know what happened? This Tesla, it just program it, it comes and picks you up in your house and drops you where you want to go. And you know what is the reaction? No, I'm not going inside. There's no driver, I'm not going to go inside the car, and what? Now, whether Tesla can do that, it doesn't do it. The autopilot is there, and I have tried it myself and so on. But the most important is the change management, embracing this technology, embracing, change management element on the way how we embarked in, the way how we move forward. So that's the moral of the story, is don't think that you can just bring the technology tomorrow and make it happen. The culture changes, the change management elements, convincing, elaborating it. What are you doing the right thing for the organization and so on. So my question before I move into my presentation, are we ready for the changes where we're embarking today? And when I say are we ready, it's no matter the technology. Do you have the skill set to do it? Have you looked on a human capital management area? Have you looked into your processes? When you talk about digital transformation, you even transform the way how you work it. When you transform the way how you work it, sometimes you have to even revisit your business processes and what. And when you revisit the business process, you may realize that part of the process optimization, some of the individual in the organization may not have a role where you do it. And that is expecting resistance to change. And when you get resistance to change, if you do not manage it properly, most of these may not fly that well. And I can tell you, because I'm doing good projects with Dr. Satyan in PDO, and there are a lot of pushback. It doesn't mean people don't see it, because you are touching people's domain. And when you touch people's domain and trying to look things in a different angle, then people try to push back and so on. So in PDO, what we said is, which one is it? So in PDO, we say this, I will tell you what are the pain area in my organization. I don't want somebody to come to me and say, I've got artificial intelligence to address so and so. Maybe you're coming over to me, telling me this is artificial intelligence which will do so and so. Well, it's not a pain area in my area. So what we said is just look at it the other way around. We look at it is from the business point of view. What are the pain areas? Based on pain areas, let's develop the digital intelligence. And when we talk about digital intelligence, it's not about only artificial intelligence. Digital transformation. So digital transformation has got digitalization, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. And in summary, if you ask me, I say this is about data-driven innovation. We spend almost $150 to $200 million a year on data acquisition. It's the rich, this E&P, oil and gas, they've got money. Money is not an issue. But small changes in the organization through these type of initiatives bring a big element of the cost saving or the revenue in the organization. So our budget, we're talking about 6 to 7 billion a year. And for us, is one of the areas where we talk about is about co-innovation, how we work together, how we work together as partnership to address the key areas of our business. So when we look at business objectives, it's about business improvement process through automation. It's about proactive field and opportunity management. People have been talking about reactive to the proactive. It's about enabling field development, living a plan, by having an update on the fly. Today, we don't have it. So if I drill a well, and I drill the second well, I have taken much more oil in that area. The reservoir property tend to change it. How do I know the reservoir property has changed it? So I don't drill the third well, I drill the seventh well. In doing so, as small changes in terms of production, you could bring the revenue in your area of more than $50 million a year, based on our production. So what we say is this, the business value, where we focus it, we have been in operation for over 50 years. We've got aging equipment. These aging equipments need to be managed. And people say, we do have preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance, you do it continued. What you want to do is, those type of equipments, we do have it. And we have collected a lot of data. And for me, mostly I keep on emphasizing is, as Dr. Satyan said, is you cannot build the future if you do not understand the past. So you need to get the historical data to build the model, which model will help you to build a prediction where you can calibrate and make it better. That's how you do it. And being in operation for 50 years, this is what we do it. But don't forget it. Data governance has to be in place. The quality of the data is so much important, because if you get wrong data, then you get wrong answers. So, area, sweating the assets. Deferment, unplanned activities, equipment has failed, the production is not there. Shareholders are looking at you all the time. At the end of the day, shareholders are looking on revenue. They want to make money. They don't want to invest without money. The business efficiency through automation. Can I, create an automation of a business process where from start to end, it takes few minutes than having individual being involved where it takes days and what? Business delivery, production optimization. Looking at it, what we're saying is, our strategy is about also building in-house capability, having the skill set to take on the technology and embed it into our process and make that sustainability in place. And also the collaboration, which is the most important. And what I've touched base is, you do have domain experts on certain areas. And when you bring data science where you're looking at things in a different way, they become blockers in the organization. How do you bring them to be part of the solution? So that's part of the collaboration. Our objective as oil and gas company is about production. You produce more. When you produce more, you need to bring the reserve on it. So if I take it from somewhere and then I need to find a way, how can I? That's how you sustain. These two things go hand in hand. So we talk about HSE, people development, the cost, and so on. If you don't get production, nobody will invest money on you. If you do not get the reserve, then nobody is keen to invest. And then they don't see the sustainability into that area. So these are the areas from the business challenge point of view, and where we touch base is more on co-innovation, and I've touched base on co-innovation. Looking at it is how we work together with our service provider into the certain areas where we are domain expert, we do have the skill set, certain areas where we don't have the domain expert, where service provider can play a bigger role on helping us. So co-innovation for me and partnership is one of the main driver of what we do our business. And this is the way how we should do it. And if we don't do it, and then the other area where I'm seeing is about thinking out of the box. In oil and gas, we're very conservative, right? Because the data is very expensive, eh? If you spend $200 million a year on a data acquisition, then you need to protect it. And sometimes that protection is part of a competitive advantage because you're competing with others and what. Thinking out of the box is, looking at it is, it doesn't mean I've got everything. Somebody else can help me to do something. These type of participation in the workshop, they are so much important. In a way, you work with people to address the core issues. So we look at it, our approach, where we said, think big. You need to think big. You prototype small, and you scale it fast. That's the way how we do it. So if I'm looking into deferment, which is part of production optimization, and for me, I say, deferment is an area where I need to address it. But I cannot address through technology for the whole company. Pick up a certain area where there are more pain area. Prototype it. When you prototype and you see it works well, scale it fast in other areas. Now, I know many people will look at it and say, oh, you've got one area where you fix it and you get it. No, there's never. I'm telling you, for most of, with my experience, there is no black box which addresses the artificial intelligence area. Everywhere has to customize it because the conditions and the areas where we're working are different. It's a journey, it takes time, it requires patience, and patience is so much important. And the other areas, do not just concentrate on one. Take multiple initiatives. It's part of proof of concept. Whichever works it, make it happen. So this is our approach where we look at it from a PDO point of view. And I just give an example of certain projects which we've been working on it. And so what we're saying is we're doing pretty well. So if I go to a subsurface engineer, a petroleum engineer, and I said, artificial intelligence, we're already doing this. The applications which we use today, they are so smart in a way that they can come up with the production forecast, they can help and so on and so forth. And what? Now, for us, what we're saying is moving to the next level of saying, I'm working on reactive mode to a proactive mode. I have got enough data. Can I predict the failure of an equipment? So we have done through data science, and that's why I'm saying data science is an element, big element, which contributes to artificial intelligence. And we looked at it into certain pump, we call ESP pump. Based on historical data, we've been able to build a model. And this model of today, if you look at it, we could predict equipment failure on almost 12 days before it fails it. A data science. And that's what you call pattern recognition. So if I understand the pump will fail it, and sometimes you realize that, a well which produces almost maybe 20,000, barrels or 50,000 barrels a day. If it failed and you don't know it, then you end up on having production deferment or, the deferment. When you do have deferment, shareholders are behind you looking at it. I said, we cannot accept it. We pump $7 billion, and this is what we're facing today. So the next level we're looking at is being proactive. So when I say being proactive is to say, yes, we've seen it 12 days. So what are we going to do on those 12 days? Maybe I reduce the pressure where I can continue produce it. Or arrange the mobility of the equipment to go and repair it. And what? So whatever way it comes up, it means now you do it in a proactive way. It becomes more as a planned activities than unplanned activities. So that's the level where we're looking for. And in doing so, we can predict it. We can look on opportunity management. Now today, if a well which produces 20,000 barrels a day, if it failed, what do? You start mobilizing equipment very quickly. You end up on misalign on your plan because you want to fix the pump which is filled with more production as soon as possible. When we do this proactive maintenance or proactive detection, then you can manage even resources in a better way. So it's not about the production that you're going to sustain it. It's about the resources management you're going to use it, where they cost millions of dollars. So this is one of the projects. The other project where we look at it, looking into artificial intelligence. So many people ask and said, what is a game changer on what we do today? I'm using Petrel, I'm using CMG. These are expensive applications, and artificial intelligence is already built on it, and so on and what. Now, we looked at it in the PDO side in a different way to say is, there's a conventional way of doing work, how you do work. So if I take a field, developing a field, it takes almost a year to do it. And there are multiple disciplines, multiple functions that are involved to do it, and so on. So as long as it takes a year, can I use artificial intelligence to accelerate this type of activities? And we have done it. And what you do is, you don't take all the data, you take the data, we call influence parameter, you take the data which will come up with the results as the conventional way. And we have done it. Now, this tool, which is quick one, you can run within half an hour than doing it a job of multiple people where they involve almost 25 people in half an hour, which will produce the same results as a conventional way, and even is much better because you do have the data on the fly. These are the data which are already collected today, which was not included part of the field development plan. So this is where we do it, and we do different. And that's why I say artificial intelligence is this type of automation, and picking up the right data to address the right issues is a game changer in our organization. So today, if we get it right, so we are still on a POC, if we get it right, it means we could, inject not less than $200 million US into our revenue of every year. See, smaller changes, and as technology played a bigger role into this area. And then another one where we looked at it is, I just want to emphasize it. We have been working on lagging indicators. So in our organization, when we say lagging indicator, it means you're looking on reactive mode. We're doing pretty well. It means if the pump has failed, then I will know instantly the pump has failed. What is next is, says, can I get an indication the pump will fail before it fails? We call leading indicators. That's the direction where we're moving it. And you can see it. We're looking on the lagging indicators, moving into the leading indicators. Data is the key. Quality of the data is the key. Data governance is one of the most important in data innovation. And this will help us to even manage our resources in a better way. So certain areas where I want to touch base on capability building. So we developed together with Halliburton, and the last time I talk about co-innovation is them. Now, with this new generation, millennium we call it, we talk about data science, data scientists. You think these people stay at data scientists for how long? I'm telling you, 5 years is too much. They will leave. And what? You need to have the mechanism of developing people in a different level of the data science. And that's what we created. So in my organization, somebody does not become a data scientist. You start with the data engineer. How you pull the data, how you harmonize the data, how you integrate the data, how you create an environment where it's ready for data science to work on it. So that's one level. And then you take it to the data science, where they will look into the pattern recognition from the business point of view and the data science point of view, and work on the models and being able to calibrate the models. So we've got 3 layers we call data scientist job families. And that's what you do, is because if you say somebody is a data scientist today, in 5 years they are not there. This journey will take longer, not less than 6 years for somebody to become a data scientist, because you need skills. The skills require experience. It's not about getting from the university. It's doing projects and being able to address the key issues within the organization. So I just want to conclude into my presentation, where I worked very close with Dr. Satyan. We touch base on the areas of having a leadership support. I'm pleased. You can see in UAE, the Minister of Artificial Intelligence. I think from the highest level, it means now the budget will be allocated, you will have the support from the highest level, and so on. Is key. And that's what, in PDO, we've created Chief Information and Digitalization Officer, who look into all this effective team. Do you have an organization ready to embed these type of solutions? Being accountable. Do we have the regulation, which we talked about it? If you leave things moving here and there, you realize they move out of context, and so on. Do we have recognition, agility, and adaptability, and so on? These are the key 7 pillars of the success of not only artificial intelligence in any project you take it on board. And change management should not be forgotten. Change management is the heart of the whole thing. So what we do is, how do we reposition ourselves to respond to the business challenges? Our shareholders are not quiet. They're pushing so hard to make sure that the money they invested, there's a value you generate on it. And that is the end of my presentation. Any question before I move into a close-up session? I know time has moved out.
Impressive presentation, thank you. Could you please just give us, in terms of ecosystem around AI, how many, you build your own data center to build your own AI ecosystem to analyze all of those data? What was the timeline also of implementation of such a big project, from the decision to go for it and then the implementation, and what kind of impact on users this have been having?
So one of the areas I could say is a PDO approach is about bottom-up approach. So most of these initiatives are built with the team. So if I picked up a certain area where we say we need to prototype, then the team with that area will be driving and being able to embed this solution part of the change management. And on the timeline, it depends on the complexity of the project. Certain areas like RPA, we've done it only within a few weeks. These complex projects like, the reservoir management, what may take months, I think it took almost 4 months to develop the solution. Where is the game changer? We don't have it so far in the market because we've been looking at it. It's been developed by the vendor, the service provider. Yeah. And yeah? One of them is Halliburton. The other one is also a local company which is in Oman, and so on. So we do have multiple companies which are focusing on specific area, pioneer on the areas and what. Now, agility is important. I think so where you're looking at it, and the follow-up, like working with Halliburton, every week we've been following up and what. And sometimes people tend to pull the agility. I see more as flexibility because sometimes with this complex project, you realize that in a week you haven't done much out of it. But I think that continuity communication between operators and service provider is a key success to this project because we tend to provide steer on the way we move forward, especially if you stuck it into the project. So the timeline is complexity of the project. I think RPA, has taken 4 weeks with different sprints where we look at it. This one has taken more, and is the POC. And I look at it when you start, operationalize, corporate is much even bigger. And what we have done in one area may not fit into the other, and you may require customization and so on. So I can say I'm not an expert, I'm still learning it, and that's how we work partnership to make sure the learnings are embedded where we can accelerate the project, deliver. Yeah? You can say it. Can you do it again?
This is technical questions.
Yeah.
Did you go with the complete stack with the same company, or what technology that you select for this?
That's a good question. And what we say is thinking out of the box, don't stick with one company. So you need to look on the capability. And we do part of the market intelligence. We talk to multiple companies to see what they can do it. The areas where they are domain expert, then we bring them on board and we do proof of concept. So the proof of concept does not guarantee that individual will get it. The results of that is what will come up and say individual has, and mostly we look at from a technical and a commercial point of view. You're from finance, so definitely you know that.
Yeah, as a result of this consultancy or selection, you go with the one platform for each this, or you use different technology and connect it together?
So one of the areas maybe I could have emphasized it. We spend millions of dollars to have the infrastructure which we do have it. And I see the game changer for any service provider is to come and you capitalize what we do have in place already. Because we cannot completely change it. And most of the areas where you're looking at, when you say data-driven innovation, you start utilizing the data which is already available within our organization. There could be some data harmonization, there could be some data integrations and so on. And this is part of the proof of concept. And when we identify what are the areas where we need to work on it, if we don't have it at that period of time, then we will work on it, how to make it better. Yeah? Okay, if there's no question, I've been asked also to, part of the closeout, of these conferences. Thanks for the team. So the most what I could say is, I haven't missed any of the slot. I've been here the whole day for 2 days. And I could say the guys have done a great job as organizer. Give applause to these guys. I've been giving a talk to most of the conferences, and I can tell you, this is one of the professional conferences. The organizers, the committee, they've done a great job. I've been doing it before, and I can tell you, it's not an easy. And when I was talking to Mohammed Salim and also Dr. Satin, they said, Tresco has been around for 3 years. I said, you've been around for 3 years with this participation? Then you need to tell me, what are you doing different? I'm involved in SPE, APG, and sometimes we struggle to get participants. I would say this conference has brought an element of diversity and inclusiveness. It's a diverse group. The discussion is not about oil and gas, even though I was kept as the last to give a talk on oil and gas. Well, you forgot that I do have more money than most of the companies, and so on, but it's fine. But I think looking into that area is this diverse environment has brought a different views on it. Are we moving in the same direction? It takes some time. And these type of challenges is where we come together. We are still on a converging direction. We're diverging and we will come and converging it. It takes time. And this type of knowledge sharing, the discussion, the panels, the presentation, helps to pull people together. So inclusiveness has been pretty well. Opportunities to everybody to ask questions, even though we ran out of time, but I think patience also from the audience has been amazing and interesting. We had many participants from different parts of the world, which is interesting, part of the inclusiveness. I looked at it in certain areas. In my opinion, the artificial intelligence does not sit on its own as an island. There are many things which contribute to that artificial intelligence. Data science is something which I'm looking at it, and I see is so much important. And data science is an area where will help you to focus on business, where you can develop these machine learnings which will drive into artificial intelligence. Does not work on its own. If you get a service provider who comes to you and say, I've got a black box which will sort it out everything, you need to question the credibility of that service provider. I'm giving my opinion based on my experience. They need to go hand in hand. And also, make sure the organization is ready to embark into the journey where you're working on it. Certain areas where we talked about it, if we spend $200 million a year on data acquisition, data in a petroleum engineering arena is our bread and butter. So tomorrow, if I go and talk about technology, and I say artificial intelligence, there's a pushback from petroleum engineering. I say, that's what I've been doing. This is my business. I've been doing it for the past 40 years. That's what I'm doing it. And that's why I'm producing it. That's why I'm sustaining it. And that's why I do have reserve. And what? You need to think in a different way. What are you going to do different from what we do today? Go back to your organization, think about it. Am I doing what I want to do it? Am I thinking of a game changer where I can do something different through artificial intelligence? I can show you, I've shown you example of one of the field where we look at it, a minimum data. You run it within half an hour, gives you a location and say, instead of drilling this well, I'm going to drill that well. A well costs no less than $10 million. If I don't get it right, I don't get production, then my reputation to my shareholders is at stake. And what? So think of the readiness, think on capability building a new organization. It's not about technology. We talked a lot about technology. If we tend to forget about capability building, then you lose the sustainability. Capability building. The challenges are, when you look into these artificial intelligence, especially when I talk about digital transformation, you may revisit your business process. When you visit the business process may change it. The business model may change it. Don't forget the element of the data management. It's the element of the change management. It's a huge change. It's shifting the way how we do things. And if you want to change it, then you need to have somebody who speaks the language which is understood by the people. Now, approach of the bottom-up and top-down approach is the best approach. Get people on board, they buy in the solution, they are part of the team, and when it's already in place, then drop top-down approach to make it sure is across the organization. So these are the things where I see and I have learned through the human element, the culture, and are we going to replace, a human being with artificial intelligence? A few years ago, if I would have said I've got a Tesla where I can do the autopilot, somebody would have said, I think you're dreaming. Today it's there. I've got it in my house. So it's not somebody is telling me, I've done it myself. The place where I was struggling to reverse park my car, today I don't struggle. I just click the button and the car goes and park it itself. The convergence will come up. How that will come up, I don't have an answer today. But that will come because the translation of a human being brain is where you put in artificial intelligence. How much we're going to do it quick. Now, one of the areas where I would like to emphasize before I close it is this is not a choice, it's an obligation. You need to be on the train. The train moves on. Either you move faster or you move slow. If you move slow, then you're out of the business. How many of them have been in the business? There are companies where I looked at it years ago, my son doesn't even know about it. It's the business model. You need to have agility of the business model to cope with the challenges and reposition yourself into the future. That's the most I can say. Thank you very much. I didn't prepare myself on this, and thank you very much. Yeah.